All right, it is the morning after Election Day, and even though there's still thousands of votes to count, some races have already been called, and that includes the race for Washington governor.
Yeah, so Democrat Bob Ferguson getting 46% of the vote so far. Republican Dave Reichert with 28%. Both will move on to the general election in November. And joining us now with more, our political analyst Kathy Allen is here. And Kathy, you know, Ferguson has kept a fairly low media profile during his 14 years as Attorney General. How does he poll statewide, just in terms of favorability?
Well, right now, the favorability comes with the D after the name. And so what we're now seeing is in the primary, you get to have more of the partisan folks who are like, I know who I'm voting for from the minute there is a close of the class. In all of this, what you see is more, I would say, this is a good feisty race. It's not going to be as close as our Dino Rossi and Chris Gregoire race way back when. But the fact is that this is a competitive race. This is a competitive race. What happens here is that Dave Reichert has the issue du jour. He's got public safety. Hard to out-cop a cop, you know? And then when it comes to that, though, Bob's got the money. Bob has the D behind his name. Those things are likely to make it something where it's not going to be as close as we've seen in the past.
And Bob has already spent a lot of money in this campaign. Are you surprised he didn't make it past 50%?
Oh, he will. Trust me not. This is like we only have 20% of that vote in, and there's 40% that's going to be at least the bottom line of what we get. So yes, by the time I would say all those King County votes as well as those Pierce County votes get in, I think that what you'll find is that he'll be over 50% handily.
And last night we did hear Bob Ferguson talking about Dave Reichert voting to ban abortion 3 times during his term in Congress. We've seen attack ads saying the exact same thing. Is that accurate?
Of course it's accurate, but the fact is that people can change, and I respect the fact that Dave Reichert is saying that he's not going to do it. He's not going to actually mess with it again. And actually, Washington State, we have a pretty good backup. It's kind of hard to actually challenge abortion here with people like you and me hanging out. The fact is that it's not going to be easy to touch that law.
Of course, Dave Reichert tried to become the first Republican to win the governor's race since 1980. He rose to prominence as the sheriff of King County, of course, served in Congress as well. But how much of an uphill battle is it for him, again, being here in Washington State, trying to win the governorship?
We have to take a look at the actual, even the visual here of the two of these guys. One's a lawyer, and the other one's a sheriff. And people tend to look at that and give it credibility all in itself. And both of these guys represent their party as well as their actual history. They're both highly qualified people. The fact I look at it is that, you know, Dave Reichert's hard not to like. He is somebody that even when you're in a parade and here comes somebody from the other party, I'm going, Dave, how are you? So it's like not a hard one to see that he's a probably easier to get to know person. And so he's the guy they always say, well, who do you want to have lunch with? You know, and the fact is that Dave Reichert's hard to say no to.
Okay, so, you know, to your earlier point, law and order is going to be on the ballot in November, and we've seen Bob Ferguson address this in the campaign already. How much does that play in the minds of voters?
I don't think that much. Most people know Bob Ferguson as somebody who's pretty successful in suing Donald Trump. That has sort of been his sort of claim to fame throughout this. And the fact that he's been in office for a long time and he's come up through the actual local governments as well. So I have to say that he comes well advised with lots of money, does his homework. He's a better campaigner. He likes to campaign just a little bit better than Reichert, who's never been one to say, oh gosh, let me go shake some more hands. So the fact is that, you know, I think that it's a good and fair race because there will be competition in it. And also the other part I have to say is that Dave Reichert has a reputation of getting along well with the press. He's not a confrontive guy. He says, well, if that's what you think, okay.
So more ballots to count here, but any other big surprises you saw from last night?
Yeah, there are some, as a matter of fact, and we'll get into that. I have to say that redistricting did take its place, and it meant that there are now very close races, 3 different parts that were redistricted a lot, Yakima, Whidbey, and Vancouver. Now look as if they could have a flip to Democrat actual leadership in those races.
All right, so Kathy Allen will join us again in our next half hour. We'll talk about some more primary results across the state. Kathy, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much.